What's going on, gamers? Today we're going over how to install Hexxit onto your client and Apex server. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell in order to stay updated on all of our Minecraft videos. Within vanilla Minecraft, there can be a lot of exploration, but it's lacking in essence. Throughout the game, there are very few bosses and not really many dimensions to go to, with the Nether and the End being pretty much it. Many mod packs have sought to improve this by adding new features, but Hexxit Updated has done it like no other. With so many mods and our easy installer process, you're sure to have a lot of fun with the Hexxit Updated pack. Hexxit Updated is a 1.12.2 mod pack that features around 90 mods, some of which bring the nostalgia of original Hexxit, while some are new. Run through CurseForge, this pack features so much more exploration, some new dungeons, some new dimensions, and many bosses to face. There are also several optimizations for this mod pack. To install it on your server, you're first going to need to head to your Apex panel and click on the red stop button. The server will take a moment to stop, and once it finally does, you'll see that it goes from online to offline. Then you'll scroll down to where it says jar file field, right there, and you're going to select the drop-down menu and search up the word Hexxit, and you'll see Hexxit Updated appear. From there, you'll see a pop-up. You're going to click Change Version. Then you're going to select Create a New World. And finally, you're going to select Restart Now. Once the restart process is done, there's one more thing that we're going to look at that is optional, but in case you want to know, this is what you're going to need to do. To enable Biomes of Plenty for your world build, you're first going to need to stop your server. So go ahead and click on the red stop one more time. Then you're going to go to the left-hand side and click Config Files. Once you're in there, you're going to go to Server Settings. From here, you're going to scroll all the way down to the level type, and you're going to type in all caps, Biomes Op. Scroll all the way down and hit the green Save button. Then you're going to click Create a New World. Then you're going to click Restart Now. Once that's all done, at the top you'll see that it says Config Files Saved. That means you're good to go. To install it on your client side, you're going to need to type in curseforge.overwolf.com on your browser. Once that loads up, you're going to select the operating system download button and wait for that to download. Once the download is complete, you're going to run the exe file for CurseForge. Then you're going to open up the Minecraft selection in CurseForge. Then you're going to go to the top where you can search for Modpacks. From here, you're going to type in Hexxit, and what should appear is the Hexxit Updated version of the game, and you're going to select that. Once it's in, you're going to click the Install button on the right-hand side. Then, once it's done installing, you're going to be able to click the orange play button, also on the right-hand side, and that is how you play it on your client side. The mod pack is pretty incredible, and you may notice the first thing is that Biomes of Plenty offers a really awesome new look. With tons of new biomes to explore, you're sure to spend a lot of time in the overworld. But there's also something really, really cool called the dimensional doors. Now, as an explorer, you might get excited trying to walk right through this, but adventurers beware. This can be really dangerous because there are traps all over the place. Now, off in the distance here, you see a giant tower. Now that tower is one of the most classic mods, in my own opinion, there is, and that's Battle Towers. Battle Towers is the dungeon crawling mod. This is where you're going to find a bunch of spawners and a bunch of crazy loot, but it's not going to be easy, because as you progress up the tower, it gets harder and harder to kill these enemies that have swords, shields, and armor. When you finally do get to the top, there's a mob boss called the Battle Tower Golem. Now this guy's super strong and super dangerous, so if you don't take your loot and get out of there safely, you could probably lose everything. Speaking of mobs, we're going to talk about a few cool ones. The first one we're going to look at is the Chocobo. This Final Fantasy series based mob can be ridden and tamed using the Gyashi greens and using a saddle. This is super fun and kind of like the horses. The next one we're going to look at is a crab. Now this one's just fun. If you get too close to it, it will snap at you and cause some damage, but otherwise they're not hostile. They're also really fun to just look at. Moving on, we're going to talk about the blue slimes. Now, blue slimes aren't too different than the regular slimes, and they can be found on the floating colored islands in the sky, but what's cool is their slime balls can be used to create slime weapons. So, speaking of weapons, you also need a weapon to defeat people like this, the Warclops. These guys are monsters, and they will take you out really quickly if you're not careful. They do knockback and slowness. Some of the scariest mobs out there are the infernal mobs. Able to be seen by their rainbow particles and their boss names up at the top, these guys can do some significant damage. With boosts and powers galore, these guys are not to be trifled with. Now let's talk about how to build some of the other dimensions that you can go to. First, we're going to look at the Atom. Now, this one you have to build a sandstone structure like so, and fill it with water. From here, you're going to toss in a golden scarab, and the portal will open up. Pretty cool. Next, let's take a look at the Ether. This one is built like a nether portal, but instead using glowstone. And the way to activate the portal this time is to use a water bucket and just place it on top of the bottom of one of the glowstones there. That'll activate it, and then you can enter. Next is the Erebus. Now this one is a pain in the butt to get all of the necessary materials, but it is also one of the coolest looking portals there is. The build of this portal is less important as all the necessary materials to get it. You need a Gaian keystone, oak leaves, and a staff of Gaia, and once you've filled in your portal with leaves, then you can open it up using the staff on the keystone. Finally, we're going to take a look at the Twilight Forest. This one is pretty simple. All you need are grass blocks, some dandelions, and some water. And all you're going to do is basically build an infinite water source, and from there, you're going to surround it with dandelions and then toss a diamond in, and that will open up with a strike of lightning the Twilight Forest for you to jump right into. Now, let's explore the Atom. The Atom is like a barren wasteland of what used to be your Minecraft world. You can see there are plenty of enemies armed to the teeth with weapons, armor, and even shields. There are animals and some types of cactus-looking trees, but you're not going to be able to find much in this sand wasteland. Of course, there are still battle towers, and you can even fight the Pharaoh boss, who is very difficult, so be careful. Moving on to a classic, the Ether. This is just another classic world full of sky islands that you can float between using your parachute, and there are animals to find, ores to find, and of course, bosses to find too. The dungeons also have varying levels of difficulty, so you can test your strength. Next, we're going to take a look at the Erebus. The Erebus is kind of spooky, to be completely honest. This bug-ridden world is very, very tight, and it makes you feel almost claustrophobic. You can find multiple different types of bugs, so if you're afraid of the creepy crawlies, you may not want to check this world out. You will need a Staff of Gaia in order to return to the overworld. Finally, my personal favorite, the Twilight Forest. There are so many structures that you can check out, trees as far as the eyes can see, and massive trees on top of that. If you're interested, you can check out some of the bugs that are hanging around on those trees, or you can go in to fight some of the bosses that can be found around, such as the Naga here, which is just a giant snake-like beast. Now, let's go over some common issues. First is you may have an error trying to load into your server. If that's the case, then you're probably not running it through Forge. All you need to do is go back to Forge and make sure you're playing it through there. Next, we're going to look at if the server is stuck starting up. If that's the case, all you do is go to your console and type /fmlconfirm into your console while it's stuck, and we'll do some things on our end and get your server started back up with no problem. Overall, the Hexxit Updated Modpack is a great option for any player who explores exploration and traveling to many different dimensions. Whether you play it to explore or would just like some nostalgia from the original Hexxit Modpack, Hexxit Updated is a great option to consider. that'll just about do it for this one, gamers. As always, I hope that you have lots of fun.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more great content like this, then subscribe or click these videos. Until next time, gamers.